Welcome to Bite at a Time Books, where we read you your favorite classics one bite at a time. My name is Bree Carlile, and I love to read, and wanted to share my passion with listeners like you. Be sure to follow the show on your favorite podcast platforms so you get all the new episodes. Or you can follow the show on YouTube, where we have playlists for all the stories. You can find us on all the social medias, at Bite at a Time Books, or on our website, biteatatimebooks.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter for more information on what we're reading and what's coming next for the podcasts. We're a part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you'd also like to hear what inspired your favorite classic author to write their novels, and what was going on in the world at the time, check out the Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story podcast, Tuesdays, wherever you listen to podcasts. Today we'll be continuing The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. The Man with the Twisted Lip. Bite 3.
This is my friend, Dr. Watson. He has been of most vital use to me in several of my cases, and a lucky chance has made it possible for me to bring him out and associate him with this investigation.
I'm delighted to see you, said she, pressing my hand warmly. You will, I'm sure, forgive anything that may be wanting in our arrangements, when you consider the blow which has come so suddenly upon us.
My dear madame, said I,
I'm an old campaigner, and if I were not, I can very well see that no apology is needed. If I can be of any assistance, either to you or to my friend here, I shall be indeed happy. Now, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, said the lady as we entered a well-lit dining room, upon the table of which a cold supper had been laid out, I should very much like to ask you one or two plain questions, to which I beg that you will give a plain answer.
Certainly, madam.
Do not trouble about my feelings. I am not hysterical, nor given to fainting. I simply wish to hear your real opinion.
Upon what point?
In your heart of hearts, do you think that Neville is alive? Sherlock Holmes seemed to be embarrassed by the question. Frankly, now, she repeated, standing upon the rug and looking keenly down at him as he leaned back in a basket chair.
Frankly, then, madam, I do not.
You think that he is dead?
I do.
Murdered?
I don't say that. Perhaps.
And on what day did he meet his death?
On Monday.
Then perhaps, Mr. Holmes, you will be good enough to explain how it is that I've received a letter from him today. Sherlock Holmes sprang out of his chair as if he had been galvanized.
What?
He roared. Yes, today. She stood smiling, holding up a little slip of paper in the air.
May I see it?
Certainly. He snatched it from her in his eagerness, and smoothing it out upon the table, he drew over the lamp and examined it intently. I had left my chair and was gazing at it over his shoulder. The envelope was a very coarse one, and was stamped with the Gravesend postmark, and with the date of that very day. Or rather the day before, for it was considerably after midnight.
Coarse writing, murmured Holmes. Surely this is not your husband's writing, madame.
No, but the enclosure is.
I perceive also that whoever addressed the envelope had to go and inquire as to the address.
How can you tell that?
The name, you see. It is in perfectly black ink, which has dried itself. The rest of the grayish color, which shows that blotting paper has been used. If it had been written straight off and then blotted, none would be of a deep black shade. The man has written the name, and there has been a pause before he wrote the address, which can only mean that he was not familiar with it. It is of course a trifle, but there is nothing so important as trifles. Let us now see the letter. Ha! There has been an enclosure here.
Yes, there was a ring. His signet ring.
Are you sure that this is your husband's hand?
One of his hands?
One.
His hand when he wrote hurriedly. It is very unlike his usual writing, and yet I know it well.
Dearest, do not be frightened. All will come well. There is a huge error which it may take some little time to rectify. Wait in patience. Neville. Written in pencil upon the flyleaf of a book, octavo size, no watermark. Posted today in Gravesend by a man with a dirty thumb. Ha! And the flap had been gummed, if I'm not very much in error, by a person who had been chewing tobacco. And you have no doubt that it is your husband's hand, madam.
None. Neville wrote those words.
And they were posted today at Gravesend. Well, Mrs. St. Clair, the clouds lighten, though I should not venture to say that the danger is over.
But he may be alive, Mr. Holmes.
Unless this is a clever forgery to put us on the wrong scent. The ring, after all, proves nothing. It may have been taken from him.
No, it is. It is his very own writing.
Very well. It may, however, have been written on Monday and only posted today.
That is possible.
If so, much may have happened between.
Oh, you must not discourage me, Mr. Holmes. I know that all is well with him. There is so keen a sympathy between us that I should know if evil came upon him. On the very day that I saw him last, he cut himself in the bedroom, and yet I, in the dining room, rushed upstairs instantly with the utmost certainty that something had happened. Do you think that I would respond to such a trifle and yet be ignorant of his death?
I have seen too much not to know the impression of a woman may be more valuable than the conclusion of an analytical reasoner. And in this letter, you certainly have a very strong piece of evidence to corroborate your view. But if your husband is alive and able to write letters, why should he remain away from you?
I cannot imagine.
It is unthinkable. And on Monday, he made no remarks before leaving you.
No.
And you were surprised to see him in Swandam Lane.
Very much so.
Was the window open?
Yes.
Then he might have called to you.
He might.
He only, as I understand, gave an inarticulate cry.
Yes.
A call for help, you thought?
Yes, he waved his hands.
But it might have been a cry of surprise. Astonishment at the unexpected sight of you might cause him to throw up his hands.
It is possible.
And you thought he was pulled back.
He disappeared so suddenly.
He might have leapt back. You did not see anyone else in the room.
No, but this horrible man confessed to having been there, and the Lascar was at the foot of the stairs.
Quite so. Your husband, as far as you could see, had his ordinary clothes on.
But without his collar or tie. I distinctly saw his bare throat.
Had he ever spoken of Swandam Lane?
Never.
Had he ever showed any signs of having taken opium?
Never.
Thank you, Mrs. St. Clair. Those are the principal points about which I wished to be absolutely clear. We shall now have a little supper and then retire, for we may have a very busy day tomorrow.
A large and comfortable double-bedded room had been placed at our disposal, and I was quickly between the sheets, for I was weary after my night of adventure. Sherlock Holmes was a man, however, who, when he had an unsolved problem upon his mind, would go for days and even for a week without rest, turning it over, rearranging his facts, looking at it from every point of view until he had either fathomed it or convinced himself that his data were insufficient. It was soon evident to me that he was now preparing for an all-night sitting. He took off his coat and waistcoat, put on a large blue dressing gown, and then wandered about the room collecting pillows from his bed and cushions from the sofa and armchairs. With these, he constructed a sort of Eastern divan, upon which he perched himself, cross-legged, with an ounce of shag tobacco and a box of matches laid out in front of him. In the dim light of the lamp, I saw him sitting there, an old briar pipe between his lips, his eyes fixed vacantly upon the corner of the ceiling, the blue smoke curling up from him, silent, motionless, with the light shining upon his strong-set aquiline features. So he sat as I dropped off to sleep. And so he sat when a sudden ejaculation caused me to wake up, and I found the summer sun shining into the apartment. The pipe was still between his lips. The smoke still curled upward, and the room was full of a dense tobacco haze. But nothing remained of the heap of shag which I had seen upon the previous night.
"Awake, Watson?" he asked.
"Yes."
"Game for a morning drive?"
"Certainly."
"Then dress. No one is stirring yet, but I know where the stable boy sleeps, and we shall soon have the trap out."
He chuckled to himself as he spoke. His eyes twinkled, and he seemed a different man to the somber thinker of the previous night. As I dressed, I glanced at my watch. It was no wonder that no one was stirring. It was 25 minutes past 4. I had hardly finished when Holmes returned with the news that the boy was putting in the horse.
"I want to test a little theory of mine," said he, pulling on his boots. "I think, Watson, that you are now standing in the presence of one of the most absolute fools in Europe. I deserve to be kicked from here to Charing Cross, but I think I have the key of the affair now."
"And where is it?" I asked, smiling.
"In the bathroom," he answered.
"Oh, yes, I'm not joking," he continued, seeing my look of incredulity.
"I've just been there, and I've taken it out, and I've got it in this Gladstone bag. Come on, my boy, and we shall see whether it will not fit the lock."
We made our way downstairs as quietly as possible, and out into the bright morning sunshine. In the road stood our horse and trap, with the half-clad stable boy waiting at the head. We both sprang in, and away we dashed down the London road. A few country carts were stirring, bearing in vegetables to the metropolis. But the lines of villas on either side were as silent and lifeless as some city in a dream.
"It has been in some points a singular case," said Holmes, flicking the horse on into a gallop. "I confess that I've been as blind as a mole. But it is better to learn wisdom late than never to learn it at all."
In town, the earliest risers were just beginning to look sleepily from their windows as we drove through the streets of the Surrey side. Passing down the Waterloo Bridge Road, we crossed over the river, and dashing up Wellington Street, wheeled sharply to the right, and found ourselves in Bow Street. Sherlock Holmes was well known to the force, and the two constables at the door saluted him. One of them held the horse's head while the other let us in.
"Who's on duty?" asked Holmes.
"Inspector Bradstreet, sir."
"Ah, Bradstreet, how are you?"
A tall, stout official had come down the stone-flagged passage in a peaked cap and frogged jacket.
"I wish to have a quiet word with you, Bradstreet."
"Certainly, Mr. Holmes. Step into my room here." It was a small office-like room, with a huge ledger upon the table and a telephone projecting from the wall. The inspector sat down at his desk.
"What can I do for you, Mr. Holmes?" "I called about that beggarman, Boone, the one who was charged with being concerned in the disappearance of Mr. Neville St. Clair of Lee. Yes, he was brought up and remanded for further inquiries. So I heard. You have him here, in the cells? Is he quiet?"
"Oh, he gives no trouble, but he is a dirty scoundrel."
"Dirty?"
"Yes, it is all we can do to make him wash his hands, and his face is as black as a tinker's. Well, when once his case has been settled, he will have a regular prison bath, and I think if you saw him, you would agree with me that he needed it."
"I should like to see him very much."
"Would you? That is easily done. Come this way. You can leave your bag."
"No, I think that I'll take it."
"Very good. Come this way, if you please." He led us down a passage, opened a barred door, passed down a winding stair, and brought us to a whitewashed corridor with a line of doors on each side. "The third on the right is his," said the inspector. "Here it is." He quietly shot back a panel in the upper part of the door and glanced through. "He's asleep," said he. "You can see him very well." We both put our eyes to the grating. The prisoner lay with his face towards us, in a very deep sleep, breathing slowly and heavily. He was a middle-sized man, coarsely clad as became his calling, with a colored shirt protruding through the rent in his tattered coat. He was, as the inspector had said, extremely dirty. But the grime which covered his face could not conceal its repulsive ugliness. A broad wheal from an old scar ran right across it from eye to chin, and by its contraction had turned up one side of the upper lip so that 3 teeth were exposed in a perpetual snarl. A shock of very bright red hair grew low over his eyes and forehead. "He's a beauty, isn't he?" said the inspector.
"He certainly needs a wash," remarked Holmes. "I had an idea that he might, and I took the liberty of bringing the tools with me."
He opened the Gladstone bag as he spoke and took out, to my astonishment, a very large bath sponge. "You are a funny one," chuckled the inspector.
"Now, if you will have the great goodness to open that door very quietly, we will soon make him cut a much more respectable figure."
"Well, I don't know why not," said the inspector. "He doesn't look a credit to the Bow Street cells, does he?" He slipped his key into the lock, and we all very quietly entered the cell. The sleeper half turned and then settled down once more into a deep slumber. Holmes stooped to the water jug, moistened his sponge, and then rubbed it twice vigorously across and down the prisoner's face.
"Let me introduce you," he shouted, "to Mr. Neville St. Clair of Lee in the county of Kent."
Thank you for joining Bite at a Time Books today, while we read a bite of one of your favorite classics. Again, my name is Bree Carlile, and I hope you come back tomorrow for the next bite of the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. If you enjoyed our show, be sure to follow us so you get all the new episodes. We would also love for you to drop us a rating on your favorite podcast platform. You can catch us on all the social medias at Bite at a Time Books, or check out our website, biteatatimebooks.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter. Our show is part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you would also like to hear about the authors who write the books we read on the show, check out the Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, or on biteatatimebooksbehindthestory.com.